Hi everybody. Today we're going to look at part 2 of my series where I look back on my life and try and figure out the achievements that I've made in order to become more positive. In part 1 I joined the army at the age of 16 and I became a Russian linguist, or at least a trainee Russian linguist. I was in Harrogate in Yorkshire doing a 2-year apprenticeship in the Royal Corps of Signals. I left you with a bit of a cliffhanger because in July 1989 an event took place which changed my life. At the Army Apprentices College in Harrogate we had different types of exercise. There were Mercury exercises which were communications based. There were military training exercises, which is, as you would imagine, a beasting pretty much. And there were external leadership exercises. Now these were the fun ones. Of those there were 3. There was a canoeing one, a rock climbing one, and a snow and ice one. This was my first, and it was the canoeing exercise, which was in the Lake District in beautiful Cumbria in the north of England. We split into 2 groups, and one group went canoeing and the other group went orienteering across some of the mountains in that particular district. We had some training on climbing, but as this was not the climbing exercise, this was the canoeing exercise. It wasn't actual climbing per se with crampons and ropes, etc. We had ropes with us, but we weren't using them. The group went up a cliff in order to save some time. This was the great idea of the instructor, who was a sergeant, and it was going to get us to the next checkpoint and save a good couple of hours. So he went first, another apprentice went up, and then me. The sergeant dislodged a rock which came down and hit the person who was above me. That guy fell down on top of me and I felt my balance begin to shift. We were wearing backpacks which were quite heavily laden, and I just felt the balance point tip and down I went. I fell 40 feet, landed on a scree slope and bounced down the hill quite a considerable way. My right tibia and fibula were fractured multiple places. This was a compound open fracture, so the bones were actually coming through the skin. It was a mess. I had a fractured skull, a fractured shoulder, broken teeth, and of course it was covered in scrapes and abrasions. It was a pretty serious fall. I lay there. This was before any mobile telephony or anything like that. Ironic, as we were in the Royal Corps of Signals, we had no means of communicating with the local mountain rescue team, so we sent a runner who went back down the mountainside to get to a phone to call the mountain rescue to have them come and rescue me, which they did. I waited there for about 4 hours. First aid was applied. I was in shock. I don't remember very much about it, to be honest. And the helicopter came, mountain rescue team picked me up, and I got taken to West Cumberland or Westmoreland Hospital and was given some emergency surgery to try and rescue my leg, because at the time it was touch and go whether I was going to lose the leg below the knee. So I was 17 years old. I had my 18th birthday in hospital, and so began a long 13 surgery hospital stay. I was in and out hospital for 2 years. Various surgeries, bone grafts, muscle grafts, skin grafts, some surgery which would lengthen the bone once it had begun to heal. It was a long and it was a complex process. The major part of which I spent in military hospital in Woolwich in London, Queen Elizabeth Military Hospital, where I spent the first few months in the burns and plastics ward to have the skin grafts done. That was pretty horrific. One of the great things about military hospital is you're still within the military environment, and the treatment was absolutely superb, far better than you would get on the NHS. And most of the patients surrounding me were young guys and young girls who'd been in all sorts of horrific accidents, and there was a couple of guys from Manchester who'd both been shot by terrorists in Germany, and their story was pretty awful, as you would imagine. Same age as me, and we got on famously. We had as much of a good time, I suppose, as one can have in hospital. But so that was my life-changing moment when I had to learn to deal with adversity, and of course the consequences of that were quite profound. Not just mentally, but also in terms of career change and education, family, etc. I've come to look at it philosophically, because had that not happened, my life would have been very, very different from what it became in all sorts of ways. More of which I'll talk about a bit later on in this series. I'll leave it there for now, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye for now.